Hey, so I'm curious, do your first few steps in the morning just plain hurt? You get out of bed and you put your foot down on the floor, and suddenly the bottom of the heel or the arch of your foot feels really tender. And so you find yourself hobbling. And maybe 10 steps or so later, it starts feeling better. And by the time you're moving around the house, you're wondering, why did that hurt so much if it disappears once I get going? A lot of people immediately assume something's wrong with your foot, and sometimes there absolutely is. There's irritation in the tissues under the foot, it's inflamed and it hasn't healed. But I want you to look at something else too, really important, because those painful first steps may not just be about what's happening under your foot. They may also be connected to what your ankle, your calf, and your Achilles tendon allows your foot to do the moment you put weight on it. So today I want to show you why the first step after being still all night can feel so different after the 20th step. And I'll give you a few simple movement sequences you can do before you even start walking in the morning to get things going. Not to force the painful area, but to prepare your whole system for the load before you start asking your foot to suddenly carry your whole body weight. Hi, I'm Dr. Melanie Carlone. I'm a somatic physical therapist with over 40 years of clinical practice. I have a master's and a doctorate in physical therapy. I'm trained in 2 forms of yoga education. I love teaching breath and nervous system regulation. Some people call me the body whisperer, and I love to work with people living with chronic pain that want a different future, where they find bracing and fatigue and inflammation are something they really want to get rid of. These are people who often feel unseen by conventional care. Our system is kind of breaking down and people don't get the care they need or understand what's really going on. So that's why I made this channel, to help people try to understand pain in context. Because where you feel pain is important, of course, but it doesn't always tell the whole history. So your foot is connected to your ankle's influenced by your calf connects with the Achilles tendon into the foot, all of it's up in the knee. All these structures have to coordinate the moment you stand up and start walking. So let's look at what happens first thing in the morning. Think about what your feet have been doing all night long, like almost nothing. You've been lying down for hours. Your feet have not been accepting your body weight. Your ankles haven't moved through the ranges that they normally use when you walk. Your calves haven't been lengthening and contracting, moving with every step. And most likely your feet have been turned out. Some are turned in, but a lot of times turned out and pointed down, which means your Achilles tendon has been held short for like hours. And then the alarm goes off and you swing your legs out of bed, and in 1 second you go from essentially no weight through a pointed foot to asking that foot to accept the entire body weight. And that is a dramatic transition. And if the tissues around the heel are already sensitive, still recovering from the last load of tensioning, that sudden load is going to be really noticeable. So that's one reason pain with those first steps after sleep or even after sitting a long time is so commonly associated with plantar fascia and heel pain. But here's where I want to invite you to widen the lens. What determines how load actually moves through your foot? It's your ankle that has a lot to say about it. Sometimes a painful foot isn't asking you just to focus only on the foot. It's asking you to pay attention to the rest of the leg and how everything moves together to absorb the load. So let's talk about your calf for a moment. When you walk forward, your shin has to travel over your foot, and that requires movement at the ankle. Your calf muscles coming down into your Achilles tendon is what controls that movement. And if that whole system is really stiff or it just hasn't moved for several hours of rest, your body still has to get forward somehow. So something else changes or adapts or contributes. Maybe your foot rolls differently. Maybe your heel lifts sooner. Maybe you just avoid putting pain on the painful area and walking on the outside of the foot. So I want to be really clear. Compensation is not the body making a mistake. It's your body amazingly solving a problem. It's naturally trying to find another way to move. And that's intelligence. It's not failure. You're not broken. You're protecting. You're using the wisdom of the body in order to change it up. But it also means that if you're trying to rub and stretch and, endlessly working the bottom of the foot, you may be missing part of the picture. Your calf and your ankle deserve attention too. So here's an interesting part. Why can that first step be so terrible and the 20th step feel so much better? Because something changes when you start moving. The ankle joint begins moving. The calf begins lengthening and contracting through repeated cycles of walking. Your foot starts accepting and transferring load again. And importantly, your nervous system is feeling all of this feedback of weight bearing and movement, receives information. Movement gives it data, and data lowers the alarm, and gradually the whole system becomes less abrupt. It doesn't mean that you walked off the problem, and it doesn't mean you should ignore the pain just because it warms up. It means the difference between step 1 and step 20 is actually giving you information. Why is that happening? Your body tolerates movement differently once it has a chance to move. So what if, instead of waiting for 10 painful steps to prepare the system for accepting your load, what if you give it a little preparation for load before the first step? So tomorrow morning, before you swing out of bed, try this. Sit on the edge of the bed and let both feet hang off the floor for a moment. Take one easy breath. Don't make it a big breath. Just let yourself arrive. And then shake your feet for a moment. Just give them a shake. Move the joints, move the proprioceptors, move everything within the foot, and just let yourself feel it. Then go ahead and put your foot down on the ground, and then press the toes down and lift the heel straight up. Try to keep weight across the ball of all the toes. Push the toes down and lift the heel straight up without the inside or the outside rolling. Then go ahead and press the heel down and lift the foot, the inside and the outside rising together. Now again, press down in the toes, lift the heel and try to make it come straight up, and then heels down and toes flaring back. Add the toes, right? Press the toes down, lift the heel, curl them, and then push the heel down and spread and lengthen the toes. Don't force anything. You're just moving the ankle about 8 or 10 times. So up and down and try to make it even. Now, pause for a minute and make some circles. And I'm going to do it because this model, the toes don't move easily. I want you to lift your toes, spread out, and then try to curl the toes. You could even try to do little, middle, next one down, and then bring them up and out. Most of us can't even move our toes independently because they're stuck in shoes all the time. We don't know how to move them. So let them spread wide as you lift and curl down one direction. You can do both at the same time and then the other. And notice maybe one direction smoother than the other. Let information come in. Just notice it. Okay? So now the toes, the feet, everything, the proprioceptors, the joints are starting to recognize a full spectrum of motion after hours of not getting that. All right, next one. Put your foot down and then very gently, both feet down, move your knee forward. So feet flat and just move the knee forward over the toes and come back. Just kind of lean forward, arch your back and back. You should feel movement through the ankle, a gentle lengthening through the calf. Doesn't have to be a big stretch. You just prepare for movement, not forcing range. And if you want to try a little more, do this. At the port where the ankle says, okay, that's as far as I can go, push the foot into the floor as if resisting going any further, about half the effort, and now soften and let it go a little further and see whether the knee travels a little farther. So ankle doesn't want to move, push the foot down, slowly release the foot, and move the knee forward. That's addressing the protector. That's somatics. You're not overpowering the protector, that tension. You're giving it a voice. You're letting it decide to let go. So do that a couple of times. Press the feet down, release, and bring the knees forward over. Now, before you stand, just feel the soles of the feet in the floor. Just feel the heel, the base of the big toe, the outside, the base of the little toe, the 3 points, the foot tripod. Give the nervous system information about the ground below you before you ask it to carry your whole load. And then stand. And now you're probably going to notice it's really different. And ask, don't be focused on did I cure it? Just notice, is this different? That's a Really useful question. Am I more attuned? So if you like learning how one part of the body influences another and how we fit all together, subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments, what did you notice? Understanding relationships changes your whole idea about your body. It really gives you many more options than just chasing what hurts, because everything's connected, and that connection is really important. So if I'm saying the foot pain may actually have the calf and ankle as part of the picture, I am not saying now go stretch your calves or really move into your ankle joint. You don't have to put one oversimplification with another. More stretching is not automatically better. If your body is guarding, forcing a painful area can make the whole system tighten up even more. So a big thing is compassion. Compassion for yourself sets the pace of change, not over-efforting. So begin with gentle movement, awareness, ankle motion, up on the toes, up on the heels, weight shifting, calf mobility. And then notice the response. Your body is very grateful to start to get feedback when you notice. So use that. It makes everything soften in your nervous system. And there's one more thing that you can notice. How do you actually get out of bed? Some people, the alarm goes off and they're off like a bolt. They stand, immediately take big steps. Other people throw nearly all of their weight onto the painful foot and then, oh my gosh, hurry away from it. So just slow it down. Stand up, breathe. Feel the weight of your body settling onto your feet. Feel it settle down. The heel, ball of the little toe, ball of the big toe. Feel the floor meeting you. And then shift a little bit, left and right, back to center, right and left, back to center. And then, having woken up the joints, walk. Now you're creating a transition. You're actually presencing yourself in the body. And that's an idea I want you to take from this whole video. Your body's been resting for hours and suddenly you're just bolting in. Your head is assuming everything and you're forcing it to move and absorb your weight and all of that. You don't have to make that transition instantaneous. Be kind to yourself. Sometimes that painful area or that painful foot isn't asking you to just attack the foot with solutions and see it as this separate thing. It may be asking you to integrate the whole leg into the body, the whole load that you are. And it doesn't mean you have to swing too far in the other direction, because sometimes foot pain actually really does involve the foot. Sometimes the pain around the heel is because you're developing a bone spur or your plantar fascia has really been affected. There's a lot of possible causes for foot and heel pain. It could be low back and the nerves going down into the foot. So if that pain is really persistent or is progressively getting worse, or if you notice significant swelling or numbness, or another big one is that if the inside arch has all of a sudden collapsed a lot, changing the way you walk day after day, please find someone you trust and have it properly evaluated. And I'll tell you, with physical therapy, this is my metric. After the first visit, if you don't significantly have an understanding of what's going on and feel like it's going to help you, get another physical therapist. I'm pretty intense about that. I think it's really important. So the point of looking at the calf and ankle is for them to help you, not that you have to diagnose it yourself, but you have someone explaining it. So you remember that even if one tissue is irritated, that tissue, wherever it is still part of an entire movement system, an entire posture system, how you are in relationship to gravity and move. And when someone can help you see the whole picture and you can tend the whole, not the part, it can be a game changer. So tomorrow morning, before you take that first painful step, give yourself 30 seconds to a minute. Move the ankle, move the toes, wake up the calf. Let your heel lift, let your toes lift. Let your foot feel the floor, shift your weight, and then walk. You're not trying to force your foot to stop hurting. You're changing that transition from rest to movement and all of the structures that are helping you bear load, and that's a really different thing. Because the foot doesn't hit the ground all by itself. Your ankle, your calf, your knees, your hip, your whole nervous system, they're all participating in that first step. And sometimes the most helpful place to start isn't exactly where the pain is shouting the loudest at you. Your body isn't failing you in the morning. It's waking up It may have been inflamed and injured, and it's asking you for a little more warning before that work begins. So regulate before you renovate. So try this tomorrow morning and let me know in the comments, were the first steps any different? And if you know someone who does that familiar morning hobble from the bed to the bathroom, send them the video. Like, subscribe it, do all the things, and I'll see you next time on why it hurts and how to heal. And most of all, be kind to yourself. Be compassionate to your body and keep listening what it's trying to tell you. It is very wise. Safety and compassion first. Change second. See you guys later.